Hello, everybody. Cam K here. I'm barely here. Weather, man, it is taking a toll on my voice, and unfortunately, the allergies are right back to where they were at the beginning of the summer. But don't have a sore chest, don't have a sore throat or anything. It's just what we got to deal with allergies. But it is race weekend, so that is extremely exciting to be able to talk about the race that we're going to be having really soon, actually, because on Friday the season continues, this time on the streets of Toronto for the Grand Prix of Toronto. Doesn't sound like we have a sponsor announced for the race. Could just be the Grand Prix of Toronto. But make sure you get there. I've been in the doctors, so I don't have a ton of slides and different information out here. I'm just going to be able to have to talk through it. But make sure you get out to Exhibition Place early on Friday. Get yourself in there. The practice and qualifying is going to start at 10:15. Okay, 10:15. They're going to be on track for their practice and qualifying. Not sure if it's going to be a practice and then whoever goes fastest will also start at the front, like kind of what we saw at Eastbound Park. Hard to say really what we're going to deal with. I would expect that because of the length of it, it's going to go until about 11:30-ish, I believe. That's a longer time. So practice will probably be half of that, and then they're going to do group qualifying. We'll get through, check out our point standings, check out our entry list for this weekend, and then we'll get out of here really early and leave it so I can rest the voice once again. But thank you for tuning in, anybody that has tuned in for this weekend and for our show tonight. Very excited to have you here on the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour. Thanks to GeForce TV. And of course, don't stop just here. Check us out, the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We have an interview with Ray Morneau Jr. that launched last week. We're going to have an episode with Todd Lewis coming up this week. Thanks to Todd for coming in and batting in cleanup for us to be able to do it last minute. But let's get to our point standings before we start talking too much. All right, so Marc-Antoine Cameron, easily the best of the field so far. And I mean, the stat for Marc-Antoine Cameron this season is remarkable. 443 laps led. Second is Brandon Watson at 117. On our NASCAR Pinty Series Facebook community, the NASCAR Pinty Series community page, you voted that Marc-Antoine Cameron is your favorite to win again this weekend. Not really surprising. He does very well in Toronto. He hasn't gotten that win, but he's been really, really good. So Cameron with a 10-point lead over Kevin Lacroix and Gary Clute, two of the guys that had some shenanigans at CTMP. And crazy enough, they're second in the point standings together. Then one back is Brandon Watson. Trayton Lapsevich, got to make sure you support the man in the number 20. Go out and get yourself a Trayton Lapsevich shirt. I did. You can do so at TraytonLapsevichRacing.com or .ca. I'll have to check on that. But definitely go out and get yourself some gear and show your support. Trayton is at least one of the names that has gear out there. We'll wait and see who else is going to have gear later on for the rest of this season. So Cameron easily has been the best of the best so far this season. Pretty close in terms of him and Kevin Lacroix with their statistics. except the finish for Lacroix at Chaudière was not good. Cameron's finishes have been much better, despite having some races where he had some mechanical problems. Gary Clute, third in the points, steadily increasing each and every week. Performed very, very well. He's only led one lap so far this season, but has been very, very good in performance, leading the RGC Sports. And the RGC Sports 3, Gary Clute, Brandon Watson, Trayton Lapsevich, 1, 2, 3 there in third, fourth, and fifth. DJ Kennington off of a very solid race at Eastbound Park. Alex Tagliani in seventh place. This is the place for Alex Tagliani. If he's going to win, this would be a great place for him. He is so good in Toronto. He's won here many times. So I think we'll look towards him being one of the favorites. He's been kind of quiet so far this season. Despite having a tough finish at Eastbound Park, he is still fifth in the points. But now he is further back. He's 18 points back. LP Dumoulin, eighth place. Very uncharacteristic finish at Eastbound Park for LP. Hit the back wall, flattened the tire. They went and absolutely destroyed the rear end of the car in the barriers. And it sucks because we just don't typically see that from LP. Really hard to see that type of a wreck for him when we really don't expect that from him. JP Bergeron is definitely, he's doing great things this year. We put that poll up on the NASCAR Pinty Series community page, and you guys voted as well and said, you know what? Maybe he's not going to win this year, but he's going to do good. He's going to continue to improve. He'll do good. He just won't win. That's what led the poll results. And then we head over to Dexter Stacy, who will be definitely the focus of a poll later on in the week. Dexter's already had a great start to the season. He's currently 10th in the point standings, despite having a tough race at Sunset Speedway. Already, of course, got his best finish in the NASCAR Pinty Series, and it's great to see him having a continuous good run. He's leading EHR right now in terms of results, and that's where we'll get to EHR in a little bit here. Mark Dilley, we've talked about this before. How awesome for Mark. 11th currently in the standings, and I would expect that we'll see even more from him. Maybe not so much on the road courses. I think the ovals, he's really showing what he can do. I know they were struggling a little bit at CTMP. My belief is that maybe they didn't have a road course car available at the time, so hopefully they do this time around, and Mark will be able to put in a better effort. I know he seems so. This whole RGC Sports team seems so pumped up, and they're really doing great things. Larry Jackson, who admittedly has said to us that he just tries to get the car in one piece at a road course. He's definitely more of a short oval racer. And he'll be back once again this weekend. He's got a teammate this weekend, so that'll help. Andrew Ranger, I'm telling you guys, this is getting tough. 41 points. Obviously, Andrew Ranger is a winner at Toronto. He's done it before. Definitely think that we'll be able to see him up front. The mechanical problems is where they've been having some problems there for Andrew. Mechanical issues. Lucky enough to connect with a very good member of the White Motorsports team who is able to help in fill in kind of the assistant. He assists in figuring out kind of what's the story. And, I know they're trying their best, and they've got a huge field of cars that they're working on at White Motorsports. So to be able to see him still in 13th, is great, but he needs to get back to Andrew Ranger territory. I think this would be the place to do it for him. Toronto is obviously something to watch. Reed, nice to see you back, Ryan Reed. Fantastic job once again. Guys, go check out, he is in the chat, Reedinson Media, and I'm telling you, I couldn't play the video with sound last week because of copyright, but Go check out his videos from the NASCAR Pinty series at Eastbound Park. Absolutely amazing. Go subscribe to his channel. Covers lots more than just the NASCAR Pinty series. Amazing stuff. I was so impressed with Ryan, and I'm glad to have him in the chat once again as a friend. And we definitely very supportive of everybody out there at Eastbound Park. I will say the fans are remarkable. A lot of connections made. It's great to have a city, like not just a city, but or not just a town, but an entire province engaged so much in motorsports, just like what we see at GP3R. And this is fantastic for all of Newfoundland. Hopefully next year we can build on what we did this year, and hopefully we'll be out there next year. I probably do very well out there, being able to actually breathe in that fresh Newfoundland air. That would probably do wonders for me right now. But Raphael Lessard, really uncharacteristic. Raphael Lessard this season, just I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but he hasn't had it, and whether it's just navigating a new team, and he's a busy guy this year. He's racing a lot, so it could just be that. Raphael's, we expected him to be out west for the Western races, and then we get to a guy, Brian Cathcart, returning back to this series after a long absence and running full time and really just going out there and having fun. And he's sitting 15th in the point standings. Not bad at all for him. He's had some tough races so far this season in terms of success, but he's just motoring around there. The best thing he can do is be there and stay out of the leader's way, and he's for the most part done that. Obviously, Chaudier, they got a little bit friendly with Cameron, but Brian's just out there motoring along, and I'm curious to see how he does in Toronto. It's been a while, and I can't wait to see him out on the racetrack. Hopefully we'll be able to connect with him and do some maybe an interview in Toronto with him on Friday. Brett Taylor, it's been a tough season. I think we all know kind of the situation with Brett. He comes the farthest, coming from Alberta to these races each and every week, and he's got a business to run, and I think the result at Eastbound Park was really tough for him. We did put a poll out. What do we think is going to happen? Most of you guys are really supportive. He is going to bounce back. An interesting tidbit on that number 3 car we will talk about when we get to the entry list in just a little bit. TJ Renamato, once again, is also just motoring around there, and he, Wallace Stacy, and Glenn Stiers are typically drivers we see towards the back of the field. They try to, just motor around and try to, again, stay out of the leader's way. And for Glenn and Wallace, they're experiencing this Pinty series for the very first time, and I've heard from both that they're people that know them, and they're having an absolute blast. I was a little worried maybe the Glenn Stiers wouldn't race because he's typically out at Oshwegan Speedway on Friday nights, but it looks like the 0 car will be here and will race, which is great. Sam Fellows, we expect to be back. Obviously, a long trek for the Jim Bray Racing team. Jim was out there supporting Brandon McFarlane in the 56, which is technically a Jim Bray car with the number. I believe Josh Collins and in his organization, they did all the work on the car. It was an old Scott Steckley car, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see Brandon McFarlane again. He's got some good sponsorship on that car, and I mean, for me, I just want to see maybe him come out for Delaware. What we used to see at the end of the season was the finales were always the big attraction, where drivers throughout the season would make an attempt to come down and race the finale at Jukasa. So, I wouldn't mind seeing Brandon or even Sarah Thorne come in and give another chance, another drive. Donald Teague, we don't expect Donald this weekend. He's not running road courses.
LP Montour, Simon Dionvien, Daniel Bois, Matthew Kingsbury. We did get confirmation from Kingsbury's team, Duro King Autosport. Okay. Wes says, yeah, the race is till 5:20. Won't be surprised to see him still race. We don't start to 7:30. I guess the features are a lot later too, so he could probably skip a heat, right, Wes? If he wanted to just run the feature, unless they're too busy. I don't know. Brandon McFarland, Peter Kloot, who we expect to see this weekend, and of course Sarah Thorne. Ray Quartermash Jr. is also on that list. I just don't have him pegged here, just because it's too long of a list. So let's get to who we are on, who we're going to see here. And this is what's very interesting, is our entry list for this weekend. Now, the last time we raced in Toronto was 2019, and we had 19 cars. This is substantially more than what we had last year, our last time we were here. 19 up to 25. And again, that's what it is right now. I don't know if there's going to be any further changes here, whether somebody will withdraw. Very possible somebody could withdraw. We've seen it. We saw it at CTMP, actually, where people withdrew because of illnesses. So that's entirely possible. Hopefully not. Stiers, JP Bergeron, we expected those names. Renamato. Peter Kloot in the 6th, we expected Peter to be there. Ray Quartermash Jr., Brandon Watson, LP Montour, DJ Kennington, Tagliani, Trayton Lapsevich, Andrew Ranger, the return of MBS Motorsports, Daniel Bois, the season debut for Alex Gannett, which is excellent. Finally, Alex Gannett is going to be out there racing a Ford for Dave Jacobs Racing. LP Dumoulin, Gary Kloot. We did get confirmation Brent Weller is going to run the 61 car. Mark Dilley, Wallace Stacy, Brian Cathcart, Kevin Lacroix, Larry Jackson, Dexter Stacy, Marc-Antoine Cameron, Sam Fellows, and Matthew Scannell, who returns to run another road course. So we got some confirmations with this list here that LP Montour is going to continue running the road course races as scheduled. Same with Alex Gannett. Brent Weller is going to run, it looks to be like the close races to Toronto road course races. Typically, that's a smart move. Less carnage on the road courses normally than on the short ovals. And then, of course, Matthew Scannell getting out there once again running. Now, again, this is all TBD, right? This is what is initially planned. We could see some more. We could see some less. Only cars that would be late additions, I would say the 56 for Jim Bray, if they even have a car. Then you also have the 28, which typically DJ Kennington's rental car. I don't know if we're actually going to see that out here. It's not on the list, so I doubt it. Of course, that car came back from Eastbound Park with Sarah Thorne running it. We know that it's going to go out west to Saskatoon, Edmonton. No, Saskatoon. I don't know. It's going to run out west with Matt Shirley. I think Edmonton. Could be wrong, though. Wes can probably figure out because he's always on the ball, and my mind is all still foggy with everything that's happened this week. So that's the field. Now, there are some omissions here. The 67, David Thorndike, we got some confirmation earlier in the week that they were not going to run. Weren't really expecting that they were. The car's not ready, and they were unable to make the race at CTMP due to an illness. So Promotive Racing is not going to be here. Matthew Kingsbury, like I said earlier, they confirmed that they would not be here as well. Originally thought that they would at least make the attempt. That didn't happen. It's okay. That's they got to make their decisions based off of, I guess, the championship, and also depending on how far away they are, right? Whether it makes sense or not for Matthew Kingsbury to be out there. They did say we'll see you in 2023, though. So perhaps maybe we see the 12 car full time next year. Would be awesome to see. Now, to the elephant in the room here, and I can't say that I know the reason, but the 3 car is not on the entry list for this season. And as you guys know, that the 3 car is Brett Taylor, and Taylor runs for the Ed Hackinson Racing Team 3 Red Chevrolet team. Now, they have had a tough season. Brett has really struggled this year. And I'm not really sure the reasoning behind that. It could be anything. It could be the cars maybe just aren't right. The field's just so much tougher. I think that's got to be a big part of it. It's sad that 3 car, which is synonymous with this series. I mean, that you've obviously, people know that 3 car. They look for the Maple Leaf number 3 week in and week out. Now, that's not saying that EHR could not still add a 3 car to run this weekend. Maybe they run a 33 instead of a 3. I don't know. To me, if this is a planned absence, then all things cool. It also could be as simple as, Brett's a working guy. He got a business to run. He's a busy man. He's got lots of kids he's got to take care of as well. And it could be just tough to get down to Toronto on a Friday and have to fly out and take extra time from work, especially when you have the races out at Wyatt Group in Edmonton, which could potentially, he's back home there, so it's a little bit easier. But, if I'm Team 3 Red and that car is available to use, I'm calling up James Hinchcliffe. James Hinchcliffe has talked about wanting to be in the series, but did not have the funding to do so. This is a window open. I'm not suggesting that Brett needs to be replaced. Absolutely not. Brett is still a solid driver. He's won in the series, and that's something a lot of people can't say that they've done. He has won here. And he did it beating his boss, Jason Hathaway. So, while it's disappointing, there are options out there. Rafael Lessard could be one. I think James Hinchcliffe could be one, because we know he's not in an IndyCar this weekend. You could get somebody from the road to Indy, like a Thomas Naveau. You could get a Devlin DeFrancesco, like an actual IndyCar driver, potentially. There's other names, like we talked, I think Daniel Morad's run this race before. He's somebody who would be amazing to be back in the series in the 3 car. Hell, you could put Jason Hathaway back in that car. So there's options out there if they want to run the 3 car. Now, if Brett owns that car, it's his decision. And if he decides they're not going to run, they're not going to run. Now, this happened last year. We had a race at Flamborough with the owner of a car said, you know what? It's pretty treacherous here. I'm not going to risk it. I'll let everybody else race. And so they chose to sit out. If you're the owner of the car, you have to make the right decision. And they had a big wreck at Eastbound Park. Now, if that's their oval car, obviously makes the difference. Oval car, not their road course car. But at the same time, we have to remember EHR has a heavy bill here this year. They're on 4 cars full time. So they make that decision not to run the 3 car. I get that. I absolutely do. It makes sense. And, if that's the decision that they're going to make, so be it. Hopefully there's another driver that's going to go into that number 3 car. You never know. Either way, I'm gutted for Brett.
if he's decided to step away or if he's sitting it out. Hopefully that's the choice. It's like I said, when the seasons start off pretty tough, and with everything with COVID and illnesses going around, and just sometimes you just need a refresh. And I think for Brett, taking Toronto off and then going back home and racing close to home in Edmonton and Wine Group is the best medicine. It is. It's the best medicine for him. Like I said, I don't have any inside knowledge. I have reached out. That's completely up to him whether he wants to share that information or not. I'm not going to hound. That's not my place. It's not anybody's place, really. I just want to let him know that obviously we're thinking about him, and hopefully we get to see him back at the racetrack real soon. We know he's got talent. We know he's really good. That team is really good. Just some bad luck, but after a while it gets expensive, right? All those plane rides out there, and like he made a big trip to Eastbound Park, and that race didn't even last a turn, right? So, I'd say he warrants a bit of a break, If he's putting that car together, and if he's got the funding, and if he's taking the time to come out and race, he can make the decision whether it makes sense or not. Returning this weekend, we've got a couple of names. Peter Kloot, who had a tough race at CTMP, didn't finish that one in contact with Kevin Lacroix, and unfortunately that parked his race. He was out of the 6th car before the end of the race. We just actually had his son Gary on the podcast, Stickers and Scuffs, so make sure you go out and check it out on YouTube or all your podcast streaming sites. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. This is a very interesting one that I'm really interested for. LP Montour finished 5th at CTMP, and he's got to be really pumped after a top 5 run. Dumoulin competition is top of the line equipment, so wouldn't be shocked to see him do well. Now, interesting note, I believe he ran a Chevy at CTMP. It has him listed here in a Dodge, so hopefully we get to see him in a Dodge. I would really like to see the 13 on a Dodge body, actually. Really nice looking scheme. DJ Kennington, Tagliani, Trayton, all those guys we regularly see. But this 31, this is going to be, I think, a story for this weekend. And the 31, Daniel Bois, holy moly, was MBS Motorsports extremely impressive in their debut. They lost fuel pressure on the final couple of laps. Bit of controversy at CTMP. Their car was stalled on the track, and they didn't throw a yellow, and a little bit crazy there. But I'll tell you that 31 MBS Motorsports, we don't see teams come into the series and just dominate and run up front right away. But we saw MBS Motorsports do it this season. We've seen GM Paillet Racing, we've seen it with the 96. It's pretty impressive that Daniel Bois was running in the top 5 at CTMP. And he's already said that he grew up on short tracks. That's his forte. So it's a solid start. The Beatty brothers, Sierra Excavating, Murphy Motorsports. I think they had Bolton GM on their car as well. 31 Chevrolet, Daniel Bois. Definitely look for him. I'm excited to see how he'll do on the road, on the street course, ripping around the streets of Toronto. Another guy, Brent Weller, who's back with Manual Law Construction and Queensway Truck Center. This should be fun for him as well. He is a Toronto native, and that always means a little bit more when you get to race around your home track, the streets that you know, and to have a good contingent of fans. One thing that I will say about Weller's team is they may be small, but they've got some really big names helping them out. Kevin Gallant, who is synonymous with short track racing in Ontario. He's been a part of the Ontario Sportsman Series for many years, very successful in there. And the one thing about Weller's team is they always have a huge amount of fans come out of the racetrack. People from that are family, friends of the track, friends of the team. It's so cool to see that. And I definitely think that Weller's going to have a good time. Be a little bit different for him because he's used to having a bit of a. I think he had a bit of a struggle at CTMP with the elevation changes, and Toronto was very different from CTMP in terms of elevation. Mostly flat is what we're talking about. But be a great opportunity for marketing for that small team as well. See if they can get back to running a couple more races. Last year they ran a good chunk of the season, including short tracks and ovals starting at Sunset Speedway. They didn't do that this year. They've only run at CTMP so far. So strategically, they're making plans to run certain races. And then, of course, we're going to go to the Arthur Electric 99 Dodge of Matthew Scannell. Now, this is somebody who I've gotten to know, and I helped design that 99 paint scheme. And I'll tell you, man, Matthew Scannell is a damn good road course racer. Doesn't get the attention that a lot of the other names do. Had a fantastic run last year at CTMP in those races. Got up and was in the top 5. Didn't take tires and battled and stayed in the top 10. Had a miserable outing at CTMP to start this season. Mechanical issue, and they were, I think, second last in the finishing order because of that. So it's a tough overall finish for him. But Matthew Scannell is, again, somebody else that you got to look out for in this 2022 season. Remarkably, that is a Larry Jackson car, and we've seen it run right up front. We know that Larry and Matthew, they don't have the biggest and best equipment out there, but it goes to show that you don't have to be able to be successful. Now, one of the names that is on this entry list for this race, we haven't seen all season, and he ran full-time last year. He's back for at least this race. We expect to see him on CTMP, and we expect to see him at GP3R. He's doing the road course races this year, potentially an oval. Chaudier is already gone, so I was expecting him to maybe do that race. Maybe he'll do Delaware, and that's Alex Gannett. Alex did a great job last year for Rick Ware Racing / DJ Kennington Racing in the 52. I wouldn't say he didn't have a bad race by any means. He didn't have bad races. He was just consistent, I think was the best word to say for Alex Gannett. Consistent. And I think I'm very curious to see what he can do because, as I said before, this is a dangerous combination. I think JP Bergeron is getting used to these cars. And he's getting better week in and week out. JP he's getting better as a rookie. Alex Gannett is a great choice for Dave Jacobs Racing. I expect him to do very well. Now, performance-wise, I guess you could say Dave Jacobs' cars have been, they've been consistent, but not maybe at the level that they once were back with Andrew Ranger and Tagliani in them. But it's also a little different. They're the only Ford body in the entire series. The one thing they did do really good, which is one of my favorites, was get a Mustang for JP Bergeron. I'm hoping that we see a Mustang on the 39 as well. We'll have to find out this weekend. But the real battle, of course, is going to be this battle for the race victory. And I'm not saying that any of those names that I've already mentioned are not going to race for the victory this week. But we've got a lot of contenders. A lot of contenders on this list. Now, we'll start with who is the road course ringers. Who are the guys week in, week out on a road course are the toughest to beat? Well, we're going to start right with number 74. Kevin Lacroix statistically has been one of, if not the best, on the road courses the last couple of years. Alex Tagliani, always good in Toronto. Always good on road courses. LP Dumoulin, always good on road courses. In fact, he's been one of the best as well. You don't win 3 championships for not being able to be good on the road courses. Andrew Ranger, another fantastic road course racer. Always in contention. As long as the car is okay and behind him, he's always in contention. Somebody who people always seem to forget, Gary Clute. One of, if not one of the best Ontario road course racers. He was a corner away from winning CTMP earlier this year. And I bet you if it's between him and Lacroix this year, he is not going to be clean about it. Why would he? It's his turn to win. And of course, we've got to talk about Marc-Antoine Cameron. Now, Marc-Antoine Cameron has been in position to win this race twice before and unfortunately got over-aggressive and crashed. But look at what's happened this season with that 96. He's been the class of the field. He's been able to lead the most laps, win pole positions, start up front, lead, and now we can say he's won. He's in the points lead. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with Marc-Antoine. Is he going to be in championship mode or race winning mode? I don't think he has a difference between the two of them. I think he just goes all the time. It's going to be, I think, a real big battle between him and those other names that I mentioned. Now, could there be surprise names? Absolutely there could. Gannett could be a surprise name. I think you've got to go with Matthew Scannell as another potential name. LP Montour. Trayton Lapsovich. The thing here is, remember, this is 2019, this last time we were here. There's a lot of names here that have never raced in Toronto before. JP Bergeron, Glenn Stiers, LP Montour, Trayton Lapsovich, Daniel Bois. Alex Gannett, I'm not sure on Alex Gannett whether he has. Brent Weller, Wallace Stacey, Sam Fellows. I don't even know if Matthew Scannell. I mean, Scannell may have raced here way back, but it's been a while, I'm pretty sure, for him too. So you're going to have 25 cars, potentially maybe one more, if the 3 car does end up coming out. So 19 cars compared to 25 cars is one hell of a big difference. Now, there's trouble spots in Toronto. Obviously, you're down into turn 1. There can be damage there. I remember seeing there's a cast car race. I don't know if it's still on there, back maybe 2002 or 2003, and they wadded them up in turn 1. I'm talking maybe 12 to 15 cars were wadded up in there. It's going to be fun. But for those guys that have never raced here before, it's going to be a big lesson, because when you come off that backstretch and you have to brake for turn 3, you sure as hell better make sure that your brake pedal is working. We've seen before that that's the trouble area. It's going to be fun for those guys that haven't raced here before. Wes in the chat talking about, for Glenn Stiers, I don't know if he's ever raced on a road course with walls on both sides with tight corners. That will be the challenge for a lot of these names. Yes, you can run a road course. CTMP is different. CTMP is wide. There's runoff room. There isn't runoff room here. And we've seen it before that in practice and qualifying. A couple years back, Kevin LaCroix damaged a car, and they had to rent a car because it was damaged so badly. I'm hoping and praying that people do not wreck cars in practice and qualifying, because the turnaround time is hardly anything. You are practicing qualifying 10 in the morning, and then you're racing at 4 o'clock that afternoon. Not a lot of time at all. Now, we have some of the best teams in the world out here that will do whatever they can. We've seen it with Trayton Lapsovich at CTMP. Yeah, they had a day, but they sure as hell had to fix a whole lot on that car for Trayton at CTMP. Rick, our good buddy Rick in the chat. Cameron, Ranger, and Tags will battle, and DJ and LP hover in the top pack. Restarts will be epic. Absolutely they will. I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because Rick, I don't know, and Wes maybe can answer this. They have the stage break, or like the caution breaks on the ovals. They don't have them on the road courses, I don't believe. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. It's going to be nuts. The strategy as well, like they did 37 laps. They did 37 laps in 2019. The other thing I have to remember is that this race, I love that it's there on the Free Friday. I do. However, if there is a time issue with either a race that happens before it, I'm not sure of the schedule, whether or not there has actual racing before it, or qualifying, or hell, if there's even a weather issue. We've seen that. We saw it a couple years ago where there was, I mean, maybe it was 2019 even, where we had to wait a little bit to race. If there is any sort of that situation, we're in a small window here to get this race in. You have, I think, 4 until 5:30. I could be wrong. I think it said that the race is 4 to 5 o'clock. Like, it's only 1 hour. So that could cause some time restraints, and it could become some sort of a timed issue. The reason I say that, it's the last thing to go on, and I believe the city and the grounds have a curfew as to how long they can race. Now, the weather shouldn't be a problem in terms of daylight, but I believe there's a curfew in terms of like noise, that they can't race so long into the night. I mean, we've seen sun setting around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Even today, it's like almost 8 o'clock and it's still bright out. I don't know if that's bright enough for the cars at exhibition. But either way, it'll be something very interesting that we'll have to follow and we'll have to watch. So it's a remarkable field of cars. 25 going to be at Toronto this weekend at Exhibition Place. Make sure you go out there, get some merch for your Pinty Series drivers. Order online. An hour and 20 minutes, starter Mike Charest says. And obviously, you guys, make sure you give thumbs up to Mike Charest, because that is our starter for the NASCAR Pinty Series here in the chat. We are not worthy here. An hour and 20 minutes, that's not a lot of time, right? So one thing we got to make sure that we do. So 35 minutes lap race. However, Mike, I'm going to go with him because he says it's an hour and 20 minutes. That's what they have. So we can't go much longer than that. So it's 35, so it's a little shorter. It may have been in 2019 that we had overtime. I think that's what happened. I think we had 2 laps of overtime, perhaps. Green, white, checkered sounds about right. Maybe that was for Cameron. I think it was when he came off hit the tires, trying to battle for the win. So 35 laps, still a good distance around the racetrack. Absolutely, Wes. And Wes makes a good point. I was just about to get into that. So, Wes, I need to get you on here and be a co-host with me because you already know. So there we go. Confirmation, 35 laps or 1 hour, 20 minutes. And that's what, I believe is the reasoning behind that, is they have time restraints. Yes, Rick, I will have Stickers and Scuffs hats with me. I should be there. Again, I'm saying should with the way the weather has been. You can hear my voice. asthma's not been very kind to me this year, so it just depends how I'm feeling. I'm back on medication this week. Hope to be ready by Friday. Gonna have them stickers and scuffs, decals, and hats. Definitely $15 for SNS hat, $20 for the stickers and scuffs, the words. Hat, $10 for a large decal, $5 for a small decal. For the most part, I will be in the NASCAR Pinty Series area, all decked out in the stickers and scuffs gear. Going to be sick to see the road course for sure. Absolutely, Ryan. It is one of my favorite races. I mean, there's people that were complaining on the Pinty's group that it's not the best layout and you can't really see anything, which is true. I mean, as a fan, I will go out and say that I don't particularly like road course races on street courses because I like to see the entire track. That's just me. Todd Lewis will be on the PA, so you'll have him. But definitely come on. Now, if you've never been to the Exhibition Place, the NASCAR Pinty Series paddock, and unless things have changed, Mike can probably correct me if it has changed. Normally the back lot is where the NASCAR Pinty Series haulers are. Go out there. You can meet drivers. You can get hero cards. They typically have them. You'll be able to see us, see media people typically hanging around there. It is the best opportunity to get out there. You don't need to have a pass. It's free Friday. Go out there, meet your favorite driver, get a picture, get a hero card. Definitely go out and catch the Pinty Series guys out on the racetrack. Probably, I can't really tell you the best place to sit because I really don't think there is a best place to sit. If you want the big screen, that's on the front stretch. So you're going to want to make sure you sit on those sides there. Wes is saying right behind turn 11 grandstand. That's the final turn, right? So yeah, the autograph session for Mike Charest telling us 1:30 to 2:30, an hour long. You have a lot of time to get your autographs. Mike, is that going to be in the center or is that going to be in the lot? Because that's always a little confusing. Are you guys going to be in the air-conditioned center for the autograph session, or is it going to be in the back lot? Lot 4, okay? Make sure you guys go out there. Lot 4, okay? Always a lot of fun. You can walk a little bit further past where the lot is, and you get down to the back stretch and into turn 3. And then if you continue walking along that right-hand side, it'll take you out through the kind of the tight corners, really limited space, and you can't really get very close. So it just depends kind of what you want to see. To me, obviously, turn 3 is one of the best places. Turn 11, one of the best places, and turn 1. However, so they're going to be inside. Okay, so you're going to go to the center for that. Big center for that. Again, I can't remember the name because I don't have my notes pulled up with me right now. Reedson, I was filming during the pit party here, so I didn't get no hero cards or anything. Next show, I'll be sure to get some for the wall in the garage. Ryan, you can also reach out to the drivers and the teams. Some of them will send you a hero card if you ask. Some of them will, if you have a mailing address and you want to send a self-addressed envelope to them, they'll do that as well. I would say that I would do it, but at the risk of getting in trouble for taking hero cards as part of media, I'm not going to do that. But definitely reach out to the teams because they can definitely help you out. If not, there's other fans that will gladly get them for you and see if they can send them out to you. Best thing to do is even at the end of the year, ask teams if they have anything left. Because if they have anything left, they're going to want to get rid of it, right? So Mike Charest has been a big help with me today. Unfortunately, I came straight from the doctor's home, had dinner, and then had to do the race here. So not a lot of time to get my prep under. But make sure you go to the big center. It's where all the autograph sessions are going to take place. But you want to get there early. So 1:30 is when we're supposed to start. Try to get there before that. Typically, the lines are very long. And I don't know if they'll do it for the Pinty series, because they did have to do it, and they have done it previously for the IndyCar guys, is they split it in two so that you only get kind of like half the line that way. But you can, of course, come back and see the pit area throughout the day. Some of the teams will have boxes out there with their hero cards. Try not to get out there and get into the teams and interrupt if they're working on the cars. I will see them next year here again. Be sure to get them right. So who's right? Yeah, 35 laps, absolutely. But it's also whether or not it takes that much time, right, Rick? I'm hopeful. I think that's a long time, an hour and 20 minutes. But you never know, right? We don't know how crazy things are going to be. We're at 7:51. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that you want to talk about before we wrap it up here tonight, definitely let me know. I want to thank Wes and Mike for helping me out. Rick for coming in and being a part of it. Ryan, of course, your good buddy. Thank you, of course. Make sure you guys go check out Ryan at Reedinson Media on social media. Okay, Rick, yeah, message me. I will be out of here probably pretty early, so I'm going to take some hats and stuff. It would be better if you could message what you need earlier, and I more than likely won't have a ton of cash on me, but definitely if you don't see me there, I can try and leave it with somebody. Best time though is probably before practice. I would say be the best time, but you just let me know, man. What time you're planning on getting around into Toronto. I'm hoping to be there, like I said, right on time, but that's really hard to say. And then because of the IndyCar series being there, and because I've got the opportunity to do, so Rick, we don't have black hats. That's only for me. I was the only one that was able to get that. So all the other ones are the same color, that the light color, tan color. Already did announce prices there, Al, but we'll do it again. Stickers and scuffs, ball caps, the full wording stickers and scuffs, they are $20 each, $15 for the SNS hats, and then also decals. Large decals are $10. Small decals are $5. That's for our Stickers and Scuffs podcast, not for the Pinty Series Power Hour. Yes, Wes is 100% right. I'm doing that. Take the GO train. It's your safest bet, easiest way to get in there. Go train it. It drops you right off. You just follow the pathway right in. Then you go in and into the center and walk your way through. That's your best bet. You have to cross the bridge to get over to the Pinty Series side. But we're going to wrap it up here. Give myself a little bit of a rest before we head out to do a Stickers and Scuffs taping with Todd Lewis. But I want to thank everybody that has tuned in tonight, bearing with my voice, bearing with everything, the lack of graphics and statistics. Yes, Stickers and Scuffs memorabilia does help us with improving the podcast, making sure we're able to get to the racetrack. Also helps us with our equipment. We are trying to get better each and every week, improve our cameras, improve our microphones, everything. Yep, Beer Garden Turn 1. Is there a TV screen there? I can't remember there being one last time. But, yeah, definitely. Definitely, Rick. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mike Charest, our starter for the NASCAR Pinty Series. Thank you to Al and Wes, always Wes, and Ryan. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We will see you guys. I hope to have some at-track footage that I'm going to share on the NASCAR Pinty Series community page. So check out for that. And then, of course, definitely we'll have some footage on the podcast in the coming weeks. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. On the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour, I'm your wingman, Cam K. We will see you all next Monday at 7 o'clock to talk all about